Howdy, cosmic friends and neighbors. Welcome to the Frankie 411 podcast. I'm your host, Haleigh Overseth. And yes, you could call me Frankie. What's the 411 on today's episode? Let's dive in and find out. Well, welcome everyone to another episode of the Frankie 411 podcast. I am your host, Haleigh Overseth, and I have Geoff Woliner here with me, author of Path to Perfectia and creator of the soon-to-be wildly sensational global game Tonger that I hope you are willing to talk about as well. Hello, Geoff. Thank you for joining me.
What's happening, Haleigh? It's good to be here, my friend. Thank you for having me. And hello to everybody out there watching, listening, dialing in, channeling, whatever.
Ooh, I hope somebody's channeling this and tapping in. I always like to think that the cosmos is watching. And when I'm having a bad day, I always say, well, somebody out there is enjoying my soap opera right now, I hope. I hope you're listening and laughing at least.
They got a lot of popcorn in the 4th density and even more in the 5th density. They got the really good butter stuff like in the 6.5 density.
Oh, I really hope so. You better have some like really weird, interesting things out there because, I was just telling somebody this morning about how I remember being in middle school one time eating an entire half-gallon of sherbet ice cream in one sitting, not because I was enjoying the taste, but because the texture fascinated me. So I'm excited for all the weird things available in the upper densities.
I'll be honest with you. I did not have a sherbet reference on the bingo card today, but I'm a better man for it. And I thank you.
I'm happy to give you that on the bingo card. But let's go home to Perfectia. Please talk to me about, okay, when you say that this was channeled, tell me more about that. Like how did this all come in and come about?
Okay. We're going to go back to the root of this, like kind of where the germination process began. So fall of 2021, those halcyon years.
I mean, how does that seem so close and yet so far away? Because time isn't real, obviously, but the dilation there is so in
parallel, but also parallel.
Yeah.
How's that? Good?
That is, yes, we're good. Man, it seems to me like I'm both fascinated by the idea that it took me so long to find you and this book because like, man, I should have found this the second you wrote it. And then also thinking like, well, that really wasn't that long ago.
No. And it seems to me that all you see is violence and movies and sex on TV, but that's a different conversation. That's a theme for cartoon. And that's not why we're here. So basically what happened was I get this calling, and this is fun because I can talk to you about this and your audience about this, and I'm not going to be put away in a straitjacket. So at least I hope.
No. Or otherwise we would all have to go with you.
Absolutely. And we could have, we could have a party in there.
We could have a Tonger party in the rubber room, and because that would be the best place for it.
Now we're talking, and we're going to
love it. Friends, we'll get there.
We'll get there. We're coming back around to that. I promise.
Stay tuned.
Yes. So I get this calling, and it says, "Dude, you got to go to Texas." Like, why do I have to go to Texas?
Okay.
I don't know. You just got to go. This is a very advanced being. Clearly, like I don't know. You got to go.
That's a big state, though. Like that. So did we get to narrow the target, or were Texas is where we are having to be?
It was just Texas. That was it. Well, that certainly narrows it down. Thank you for that. Good talk.
Good talk. Glad we're on the same page. I'm at the top of it and have no idea what's going on, and you're at the bottom knowing what happens at the end of the book.
Absolutely. So I was very amenable to this because I'm quite a fan of Texas, and I love Texas barbecue.
Yes.
I'm a brisket fiend, so this is not a hard sell.
Okay. I love it.
So I get in the car and say, I'm gonna make a road trip out of it. And for reference, I live in Northern Virginia. It's not exactly a short road trip.
No, it is not. But when you are called to be somewhere, you got to find a way to get there, right?
You got to find a way. And I found a way. And despite being nearly killed in Atlanta several times by the drivers down there, just literally driving. It's not like some great story.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. I've driven in Milwaukee. I think it's a similar situation.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
I made a pit stop in Birmingham, Alabama on the way down. And I went to a tarot card reader who was at this small business fair that was happening on a rooftop. And I love these things because I just love
like a magical, just a scene out of a movie already. Rooftop tarot card reading.
In Birmingham. Because why not?
Because why not? I love this already. Because you're close enough to a little bit of the sort of magic of New Orleans to make there's a little bit of the bleed, I think, of that like voodoo energy, right?
It's voodoo adjacent.
Yes, voodoo adjacent. I love that.
Can we coin that?
Yes, we need to put that on a t-shirt. I also want to make a t-shirt that says sanity adjacent because that's where I like to put myself. But we can have a whole adjacent series of t-shirts. It'll be great.
Friends, buy Haleigh's merch.
Yes.
And buy all the hashtags /adjacent something.
Yes. Let's hashtag adjacent is going to be just like the next biggest thing right next to hashtag Tonger. It's going to be fun.
Hashtag Tonger. That's what happened. So I'm getting this tarot card reading and she looks at me very ominously. I go, oh, this is going to be good.
Ooh.
It'll be good.
Can't wait for this one. Yeah.
And she says, you're in the middle of a journey. I said, well, clearly I'm not from here by the way I'm talking. You can tell that I'm in the middle of a journey. You got to do one better than that. And she pulls out some kind of like a dragon card or some kind of a creature or something. I'm not sure what it was, but she pulls it out and she said, I said, lady, the only time I hear is when my doctor has to tell me something I'm not going to want to hear. So you're going to be my physician today. What's the bad news? How much longer? What do we got?
Which demon has attached itself to me? Do tell.
Again.
Right? What's up? What's up, Azazel? I know. We've been together before.
Like, you're back around again, are you? Okay.
Hi there. Nice to see your top side.
Still like Ty? Okay, great. Let's go.
Yeah, great. Let's rock and roll.
Or some of our best nights right there. So let's do it.
Right?
Let's do what we do.
I love it.
And you're in the middle of a journey and you have two choices. You can turn back. And she said, I feel like you're midway through your journey. And I actually was. That was the exact midpoint of the journey. Mileage-wise. It was actually the exact midpoint. And she said, you can turn back or you can go forward. But either way, you're going to face the same truth. A truth that you've been avoiding, a truth that's coming to you, a truth that you're going to have to look in the eye, a truth that will be revelatory about who you are and why you're here.
Oh, but isn't that what we're looking for? How exciting.
It's exciting and terrifying, but yeah, it was both. Okay, let's do this. Let's rock. So
because you're going to have to either way, you may as well go into it willingly.
That's how I felt. And at that point, there was a part of me that was wondering, what am I doing? Why am I taking this trip? What is even happening here? And then I had this Forrest Gump moment. I've come this far. Might as well keep on going. So
I love it. Might as well.
Might as well. So the next day, I'm driving to make a pit stop to go see my friends in the beautiful city of Shreveport, Louisiana.
Ooh, okay.
I got to tell you, if you've never been to Shreveport.
Never been, but don't
go. No, don't go.
Okay.
But it's
voodoo adjacent, but not in Shreveport. Okay.
Not a Shreveport. It's all right. It's got its. I was driving, and this is where it's all happened. So I'm driving across the Mississippi River. And I do the same thing I do every single time I drive over the Mississippi because I'm a giant dork. And I roll the windows down and I look over the river and said, look, kids, there it is. The mighty Mississippi, the mighty mist, the old mist, the old man, deep river. My home is over Jordan. I do the whole thing.
The whole bit because you have to.
I have to. The whole bit. Every time.
Magnificent.
And as this is unfolding, well, go on. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, I'm so glad you're willing to sing for the audience as well as just for the river. We appreciate you.
And I appreciate you. I'm no Chevy Chase, but I try.
You know what? Hey, trying is close enough. I love it.
That's awesome. This is the generation we're in. We're the trying generation, and I'm here for it.
I am here for it. I think that's part of why I came. We came here to try and let everybody else see us try and be like, okay, well, at least they tried. We can try too. And they might succeed really beautifully because they saw us try. And that's a great thing.
Can we dig into that? The whole, I'm here for it thing. I feel like there's something deeper there.
What do you mean? What? I am here for it. We're here for it as in I came here for it purposefully. And I know that I did. And I incarnated here on purpose, no matter how much I damn this human experience now and then, because my ego brain can't understand infinity in the same way that the vibrational part of me absolutely is infinity and recognizes it inherently.
Don't you think that's part of them coming home when people say that, this is happening and I'm here for it, but you really are here for it.
But you really are here
you're
for
not
it.
Consciously understanding. You really are here for it.
We're here for this time-space reality where the duality is as stark as it has ever been. And the version of Earth you are going to choose to vibrate with and crystallize in is Like, we're all in a train station going different ways. You got to pick the train you're on because this stuff is like separating and going in opposite directions. And which one do you want to be on? Because it's all valid and it's all up to you and your choice where it's going to go.
And hint, if you want to go to the high vibe place with us, Tonger is going to be your path to get there. And we'll talk about Tonger. So stick around. There's that way of just keeping all the listeners here because this is the stuff you're not going to want to miss. But coming back to the road trip.
Listen, and it's not we're not planning to like tease you in this way. This is just, listen, be here with the train of consciousness. And also, thank you so much for the impromptu podcast record. Everyone should know that Geoff was such a very good sport. And just when I said on a phone call, hey, let's record a podcast, was like, I'm down, let's do it.
Always. It's just a cheap excuse to talk to Haleigh more. That's all it really is, because she just can't like hang up on me in the middle of a podcast. So
no, I can't. There you go. That it's a captive audience kind of situation. And so everyone, if you want me to be a captive audience for you, then you have to be a guest on my podcast. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, this is less a podcast and more of a hostage situation, but it's fine. It's fun.
You know what? It's the most enjoyable hostage situation I could possibly imagine. And I am absolutely here for it.
You know how to make a fella feel really good on a Saturday. I'm telling you, this is awesome.
I love it. I'm so happy about it. Tell me. Okay, sorry. Yes. I keep interrupting.
So I'm driving on the Mississippi and I'm doing my Clark Griswold thing and I'm nerding out and it's great. And then, friends, then it happens. I have what I can only describe as a near life experience.
Oh, I love that paradigm shift flip there. Oh, okay. Do tell.
Now, we've all gone down the roads of the NDEs, and we know what that sounds like. The great white light gets me, and grandma shows up, and we do the whole song. And I don't want to go back, but you have to, but I don't want to.
You have more to do. Yeah.
Yeah, this was different. This was happening while I was living, but something took me quite literally out of this third density consciousness and into the all, into the source, like right into the, like I came home in the blink of an eye. And all this was happening while I was driving a deadly weapon over a bridge.
It did. It absolutely is true that it's a deadly weapon and even deadlier on a bridge.
Something took the wheels, like the whole Jesus take the wheel. Maybe Jesus did just take the wheel. Something took the wheel and allowed me to just go to this place and just chill there for a bit. As I was there, the best way I could describe it was like the warmest weighted blanket you've ever felt in your life.
Oh, that's such a nice thought. Oh, I am such that person too, that you can't have too many heavy, warm, fuzzy blankets. You need them all. They're just the most, give me that cocoon, that feeling of perfectia, that feeling of being at home and being safe and comfortable and just so very content and satisfied with where I am.
You also live in Siberia, so I can imagine that would come in handy for you this time of year.
This is why I would love to move to somewhere warmer than where I am, but that's for another time. So
next episode.
That's next episode. But I am such a visual person. And so like I am in this, I am putting myself in your position. I'm in the driver's seat of this car going across a bridge, which I love because bridges, borders, liminal spaces. So my thing, that's my jam 100%. And I know that we all have that kind of experience where you've been driving and you kind of like don't know how you got from A to B, even though you did because your mind was elsewhere. But what is sort of like, is there any kind of visualization you can give me for, are you still seeing the road and what you're doing? Or is this very kind of out of body, out of everything? Like you're not even like watching yourself from, you are just, your consciousness has elsewhere.
Yeah. Elvis has left the building.
I love it.
It was, the best way I could describe it was neither here nor there. Neither
here nor there, but because you're everywhere, there's nowhere else to be.
And that's what it was. So like the near-death experiences will describe these incredible colors and these vibrations. And I didn't see any of that. And it wasn't like that. It wasn't an elevated sense of perception where I'm picking up form in any way. It wasn't like that. It was, so there was no form. It was spaceless and formless. And it did.
I love this. This is very like ninth dimensional, like from the void kind of thing.
That's what it was.
You know, there's a certain amount of thinking of the void, that like creative space as like dark in a fearful sort of way, right? It's like, but it's not. The formlessness is because you get to form it into whatever you want.
Yes.
That's what it is.
It took me to the place that existed before form was a thing.
I oh, I love that. That is just so exciting to me.
That was the
Universe,
spot.
give me a moment like that.
It just took me straight home. It's like the express train home, like one of those great maglevs they got in Japan. Just boom, get you there, smooth ride.
I love it.
Awesome. Like the old Concords, which is great. And I'm there,
Very
and then
good.
I'm communing at this point, I'm not even talking. I'm communing, and I'm picking it up, and I'm picking up what they're
Mhm.
putting down, and I'm understanding it. And then it all became everything just became really clear. Like every question I ever had, everything, the whole thing, the it unfolded, and a few things came through. The first was my unconscious question, like the last part of me that was still clinging to this Geoff character was asking, okay, what is this place? What is this? What is all of this? Who are you?
Mhm.
Who am I? What? And one word just came through, and the word was Perfectia.
I love it
Like, okay,
so much.
what is that? What is this thing you speak of, Perfectia? But I just knew it. I knew what it was. And
Mhm.
Perfectia was the word that came to me for what others call source, what others call God, what others call the singularity, what others call Detroit, whatever
Yeah.
word you want to use for it. Like,
Right. The vibrational frequency of unconditional love that is the basis from which everything is created.
that's it. Perfect.
I
That's
love
it.
it.
That's it. And it came right through. I'm like, okay, cool. So this is, and the feeling that came over me at that moment was, it was not a discovery, it was a remembrance.
And that's such I love that in the book that you keep reference again. There's so much about the book that is so many synchronicities for me and resonates very deeply because you speak of it in that way, the remembrance that this is not something that we are all on this journey of becoming enlightened. You have to like become like no, you're remembering that you already are all of these things and you always have been. You've focused a bit of your consciousness into this fractalized physical human form to experiencing something different, interesting, and that you can't have in Perfectia. You can't have, the heartbreak and the losing people to COVID in a massive pandemic and being, you can't have that. You can't have the very unique experience that is.
You cannot. And this is what came through to me, that you, as a you, quote you, like you said, like the,
Mhm.
the fractalized piece of the all that's going to call itself Geoff,
Right.
is going to come here and it's going to have this physical experience. And the point of this entire experience is to quite literally experience the contrast of what isn't against the backdrop of what is. So this was showing me what is. Like Perfectia is what is.
That's
And
what is the
what is.
realest of the real, right?
Yes.
And I just love so excited about this whole conversation because it's like finally I read a book about someone who understands the fabric of existence in the same way that I understand the fabric of existence. And I'm not crazy. I'm not out of my mind every time I think like, oh, I wake up in this avatar human again. Shit, what am I doing?
I had very little concept of any of this beforehand. I intuitively felt it, but I didn't
Mhm,
know it. So this was basically just pulling me back home. It's like, all right, dude, here's the deal. Lose all the BS, lose all the
mhm,
stories, lose it all, man. Here's really, you're ready now. You weren't ready to receive this. In
mhm,
2012, I started getting dripplings of this,
mhm.
and I fell down a path of following a lot of false gurus and everything. And then a lot of disenchantment happened with the whole Mayan
Yeah.
apocalypse thing, which they all got into that, and it was a whole
Oh,
thing.
yeah, yeah. Yep.
And that put me like on a really hardcore, I would say, decade long materialist, empiricist, Christopher Hitchens esque kind of like path.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
was all up in that. So this would have been insane to me to even discuss a few years ago.
That is so interesting, and I really do love that though because it's something that like I from the space where I am now, it's interesting to watch like the evolution of my own sort of belief structures and how I have slowly sort of remembered who I really am and also interesting because I know that there are again, it's like you say, there's parts of you that hold on to this fractalized person that you are, this narrative, this story, this, the limitations that I think I cannot loose myself of kind of thing, even though it's again, it's the what isn't, right? And we attach ourselves so very tightly to the things that aren't, do we not? Anyway, sorry, continue.
Yes. No, no, never be sorry. Friends, I know you're not interacting with this. It's not a live stream, but for those of you listening right now, I think we can all agree when Haleigh speaks, there should never be an "I'm sorry" followed. There's always something awesome that she's going to say and interesting and profound. So, like, we just let it roll.
I thank you. I appreciate it because sometimes when I get on a roll, it's hard to slow it down. And I do like to think that it's coming from Perfectia, it's coming from home, and that's why it just spits out on its own very quickly, and I can't really stop it.
And just in case you're wondering, no, this is not like cluster B love bombing. This is just legitimate admiration for a great mind. So,
no, and again, like the energy of being able to talk to you right now, I'm so glad that we impromptu did this. It really is such a it's exactly the kind of energy I'm looking to have in every moment in this human experience. So I'm so glad you're here to talk to me about this because
same.
I really do. I love it. And I think it's the kind of energy that I absolutely came here to put out into the world in whatever way that I can.
Same. And that's what the Perfectian, whatever you want to call it, told me to use your experiences here. Integrate your experiences, integrate your talents, integrate your passions into a way of being and a way of being that can connect with others and can touch others and help them remember. So that's your mission here. It's why you came here. You came here to experience the contrast and experience all the things that you can't experience back home. So, but your mission, so to speak, is to experience it and to be the most Geoff that exists and to use that character to help others remember who they are. I'm like, well, that sounds great. Now, how the hell do I do that? And then some names started coming to me. The first name that came to me was the name Diana.
I love it.
And the next name that came to me was Andy. And the next name that came to me was Bianca. And the next name that came to me was Smooth. And then finally, the name that came to me was Angel.
I love it.
They said, and I started seeing their faces.
The team all came in.
The team all came in. And what they told me was, tell our story.
I love it. It's so exciting to me because, you know, as a writer and at my little things that I create in my fictions that like really do seem, because they do, like any kind of creation you do really is channeling, right? Because it's you tapping into that authentic you that you truly are. And it's so fun when it just comes to you like that. It's so much fun when you're sitting there or for me anyway, when you're sitting there writing and the characters come to you and they say, this is who I am and this is my story. And you're like, oh, well, that's exciting. That's really fun. Let's put this on paper. It's such a beautiful sensation.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And the message that I got was that the character of Smooth was essentially me in a parallel dimension.
That is Abernathy Franklin is me in a parallel dimension. And there's a reason there's infinite versions of her because I don't have narrowing it down to this one little human personality has been a very difficult thing for me because there's a lot of different personalities in there.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of ingredients in the gumbo.
Oh, yes. That is 100% correct.
A lot of stuff in that big crock pot. And that was what this was, too. And people keep asking me, you know, was this book autobiographical? And I say, kind of. There were elements of it, but yes and no. Like this was me in another life.
Right. And
100%.
And you resonate so deeply with that character, you know that you have experienced this as this character, right? Like there is an infinite portion of your consciousness that is existing as Smooth somewhere in a dimension that just because you don't necessarily experience it with your Geoff, see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it, senses, doesn't mean that it's not absolutely happening simultaneously right now as you're living. And to tell that story and bring it over here, right? It's just more of the like allowing more of that oneness energy to percolate in the human consciousness as we evolve. It's such a beautiful, wonderful thing.
Perfectly put. That's exactly it. It was them telling me, dude, just tell our story and they'll get it. And this will be the easiest book you've ever written because all you have to do is just ask.
And we'll tell you. I love.
And that's how it unfolded. Every other book I've written, I've had to think and I've had to go back. Totally different. They told me their story every step of the way.
There's just again, okay.
My heart.
See, right? And here's again now where I'm feeling like the universe, ego Haleigh would like to be annoyed at the universe for just, you know, hi, Geoff's here to tell you that you're doing the same thing with your characters. Like, get onto your shit. This is what you came here for. Don't worry about how you're going to pay your bills. We have that figured out. Stop not trusting us about it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That was the thing. And it told me, it said, this they also told me how the book was going to do and how many copies it would sell. And
well,
they
that's
didn't
some
say
helpful,
anything.
reassuring information to have, though.
It was certainly reassuring when they gave me the number, and this is going to sound megalomaniacal, but they said 1.3 million copies.
Listen, I am here to manifest that with you, for you. Yeah. Let's do this thing. I'm here for it. I'm with it. This needs to be a movie. Like, how do I'm already sitting here just like the universe is like, somebody who writes scripts, like you're getting into that with your podcast. Go connect Geoff up with somebody who can turn this into a movie script because the entire world needs to see this story.
Oh, that's
Because
awesome.
we will all resonate with it there is such an energy to the story itself, right? And not just that you have like really great writing that it's easy to engage with, right? Like you don't get so overly bogged down with like scenery details or things like that people it's like you're very with the characters, you're very with the energy of these characters, you're very engrossed with it. So I do really love how accessibly it's written, and it would just be the most beautiful film, and I can't wait to be a part of how this unfolds. I'm so excited, universe. I don't
Thank you.
Oh, gonna be
That's
wonderful.
awesome. It just came to me, and I started, the funny thing was I started writing it from, so this is now fall of 21, right? I
Mhm.
start to write it when it comes to me. I am in a very different consciousness at that time, a very different consciousness. And what had occurred to me when I was like in this Perfectian place, I actually took it in a very dark direction.
Okay, this is
Yeah.
interesting. Tell me more.
So instead of this, oh my God, what a gift this is, how amazing this is, by tasting the sweet nectar of my Perfectian home, of our Perfectian home, I came back into this place of, well, this sucks.
Yes.
I don't want to be here.
No, yes.
What am I, so I
Damn this
literally,
human experience.
oh,
Why did I have to do this shit manually? This is ridiculous. Are you kidding?
yes, I had this immediate feeling of deep resentment toward everything. And I'm like, I want out of here. I want to
Mhm.
bucks. I don't want a part of this anymore. So I started writing. I started writing the book, and I wrote an entire first chapter. There's not one of that. There's not one of those words that made its way into this book, because the first chapter was based on an entirely different premise of the book. And I thought, okay, here's a story I think they want me to tell. And I interpreted it based on the consciousness that I was in. And
Right.
the consciousness of the time was, well, this is obviously some kind of like a prison planet. And we created this because we're really just sadistic, bored demons. And we just wanted to do this. So my entire book was the premise of Smooth as like our human protagonist, and we were going to see it all
Mhm.
through his eyes, essentially putting Angel on trial for creating this whole thing. And Smooth was
That's
going to be like the conscience of humanity.
that's really you know what? I kinda wanna, like, sit down with you and find a way to write that, like, parallel version too, because I think it's
Yeah.
also very valid, and I think I resonate a lot with that because that's we had talked before about how, like, angsty teen Haleigh pops into my consciousness sometimes, and, like, that's who that is. That's the one who is resentful, who says, "I agreed to be the one in this physicality. I agreed to be the one who is the vessel and the conduit. I agreed to this part of it, and y'all agreed to support me in this part of it, and you don't understand how much it sucks to be here. You're all hanging out in Perfectia. You're all in the land of everything is just fine, and we know it all the time, every single moment. And I'm over here in the land of sometimes you got to have a mortgage and pay bills, and it's stupid."
Yeah. And people
So
die
I
and get sick, and
People die, people get sick, people do horrible things to each other, and all we ever do is talk about it on the news so that we can focus more and more on all the horrible shit we're all doing.
yep.
And you are just hanging out in the vibrational space of all the wonderful things we've created on the flip side of the coin, and you're not even paying any attention to me over here. Damn you. And I know
That
it's
was
not
it.
true. I know that but it
But I
it
get that.
is when you're in that consciousness, right? And you're experiencing that state of being, it's such a to shake that off is it's a bitch and a half.
It really is. And I couldn't at the time. So
Mhm.
I lean into it. So I'm thinking, okay, this
Why
this
not?
came to me to basically say, this whole idea of ours was awful. Now let's expose that through a book. And it was going to be the smooth and angel dynamics. The smooth is the main protagonist in the book, and angel is his spirit guide who comes to visit him, who's part of his soul family. And that's how the book starts.
Right.
Now, that's how both books start, incidentally. Now,
that's how both books start. It's that where they both go.
So they both start. Now, but in the original book, Angel comes by and he says, Smooth, isn't this wonderful, this whole construct? And that's how the real one starts. They both start the same exact way. Now, Smooth is going through, this is terrible. You don't understand how bad this is and everything. And Angel, in the original version, decides, you know what? I think you're full of it. I think this is the coolest experience ever. And I'm going to incarnate and experience it just to show you how awesome it is.
Okay.
And Angel does exactly that. And then the whole book follows Angel's almost like his journey of Job. And he goes through like everything. And then at the end, Angel has this moment of contrition on behalf of the entire angelic realm of, we took heaven and we created hell. And he had this, like, you know what I mean?
This is such a thing that, again, that resonates with me so much. That idea of like, there is such a, like, there's a part of our human consciousness that would very much like all of the unconditional love of the universe to apologize to us for this physical incarnation. Even though there is a bigger, broader perspective part of us that understands that we chose this on purpose and that we're not separated from that part of us that chose it. We're not separated from perfection. We're not separated from home. But when you get really stuck in the separation and the duality of it, you start to, I want that apology. You let me come here and you let me experience this and it's bullshit and you need to tell me that you're sorry.
Yeah. Like, where do you get off?
Exactly.
Come on.
Right.
Yeah. So I wrote about a chapter of that, and then the most interesting thing happened.
Of course.
This is the fall of 2021. So right around the turn into the new year, I start having all kinds of weird health problems. I lose 10 pounds seemingly overnight. I'm like, well, okay, weird. Maybe I cut back a little during the holidays, which I didn't. But okay, yeah, let's go with that.
We rationalize really well as humans.
Don't we ever? We don't like look anything in the eye. So it's a great story.
Why would you?
10 became 20, which then became 25, which became 30, which eventually became 60 in 3 months.
Whoa.
Well, that's not good.
And I'm not trying to.
And I kept trying to put it back on. And
wasn't happening.
That wasn't happening.
Okay.
And I'm having all kinds of digestive issues. I'm starting to get all these weird symptoms, these searing pains, I'm like collapsing out of nowhere. And all kinds of weird stuff is going on. Now I take every blood test, I take every scope and scan, and everything turns out normal.
They can't find the source of it because doctors aren't searching in the sense of the consciousness. Where does what psychological narrative are you telling yourself that you need to reprogram in your subconscious so that your body cells are able to regulate in the way that they were designed to?
100%. And I realized only in hindsight what had happened. And it took me 1 year of this journey into the desert of my organs were starting to like shut down. Like everything was, I was close to death in November of 22. Wow. And I go to my acupuncturist and she says, why don't you try something? Try to imagine the day that you heal and tell yourself right now that you're healing. It's like, come on, what are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Just try it, Geoff. Just try it. Just try it. You got nothing else to lose. She said, listen, your organs are shutting down.
Yeah. And it doesn't, that's one of my favorite things Neville Goddard always says. It costs you nothing to imagine.
Nothing.
It doesn't cost you anything to try.
Nope. So that night, I remember having a conversation with Angel. And I said, all right, you've taken me to the very edge. So I'm making a deal with you right now. And I hope I don't get you demonetized by saying this because I know this gets a little touchy, this topic. But I said, you're going to find a way for me to turn this around right now, or I'm coming home.
Or I'm going to exit on my own.
You're damn right. I am coming home.
This is a conversation I have absolutely had with my inner being. You know, either you help me out or I exit early. Yep. And, then you come to the place of understanding where there is no exit. You always are. You always exist. There's nothing that you can do about it. There's just, Anyway, continue.
Yeah. And that is 100% true. And that's what I came to realize is that in that moment, my own quote higher self came to me and had this come to Jesus moment of, all right, here's the deal. First of all, it's not like what you think. They said, if you pull the plug on this thing, you're not going to be forced to come back and do it again like some people think. And it's not, there's no
You got
force.
to take the lessons over and over and over again until you learn it in the right way, until you figure out the thing that it's, thank you, because I have been saying step off the karmic wheel. There is no such thing. It's just that you don't have to be in that cycle.
You don't. And what he basically said to me was
what you basically said to yourself.
Yes. What I said to myself was that you realize like you chose this, right? And this is a roller coaster you got on because you're a thrill-seeking demon person. And
you bought a ticket to ride, friend.
You did. You wanted to do this. So here's what's going to go down. If you say, this is the end, I'm done, can't do this anymore, fine. There's no punishment. You do it. And guess what? You're going to come home and you're going to want to do it all over again.
You're going to say, oh my God, that was the best ever. I was terrified. Let's jump out of that plane again.
You're going to create another situation that's going to bring you right to the precipice again in a different body, in a different timeline, in a different thing. And you're going to have that choice again. And you're going to want to push through.
Not because you're being punished for making a wrong choice the last time, but because it was so much fun to do it, you wanted to try it again. It's like
you want to beat the game.
It's a choose your own adventure book. You just, what happens if I take the adventure this way?
That's what it is. I said, so you're an author, dude. Like what would you write for the character right now? Would you want the character to just quit, like the book to be done? That's a terrible way to end the book. People love a happy ending. So why don't you go out and write the character a freaking happy ending?
And you want a happy ending as much as everybody else does, and why? Why as humans? Well, because it's part of the game that we decided to play, that we would program ourselves to think that the unhappy ending is the one that is the normal and that the happy ending is the fanciful. And, I do love it that it's always a choice. It always is. Right. And it's really such a wonderful thing, I think, to be able to see a real life, right, quote unquote, real life example of that, of you get to the edge, you get to that space. Which train do you want to be on? Do you want to take the negativity? It's all worthless, pointless. I'm going to quit. Or do you want to take the higher, quote unquote, again, higher path, which is, again, even that is a human definition of those things, because to the all that is, they're both valid experiences and valid stories, right? And you get to pick which one you want to have.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like you could choose to be one of like the Nazis fighting in the Ardennes. You could choose to be one of the Allies fighting in the Ardennes. Like whichever choice you make is going to be the choice you make. And then if you choose to be the Nazi, then you're going to come home like, wow, I really played the role of a Nazi really well. But like, okay, now I want to do something different. Now I want to be like a Nazi hunter. Like that's going to be my next thing. And I'm going to one went to Argentina. Like that's going to be the thing I do next. And you play all the different roles. And like, okay, so you're playing the role of Geoff right now. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do?
How are you going to write your story? What do you want your movie to look like? And that I think I'm very much in a space of that right now where I'm like, the story that you really want to write, and that it's possible, and that it's available. So stop asking so many questions about the how it's going to get there and the how it's going to unfold, and just know that, well, if you choose that this is the story you're writing, you're going to get there because that's what you came to do. You can't not get there. There is no not getting there. We all get there.
It's all there.
It's all right here and now. There is no there to get to, really. You just have to get your perspective to shift around enough to see the thing that you want to see.
It's always there. And that's the truth that came through to me when I was having this conversation with like the real Geoff, the higher self, angel, whatever you want to call it. And it said, okay, now I think you get it now. If you're willing to give this another shot, we're going to step in and help you because now you're open to receiving it. And at that point, I could digest again. I started putting weight back on, and then I started writing this book.
This one, the happy ending one that we really wanted.
Yes. And it came from a totally different consciousness. This was the consciousness that said, dude, did we try to tell you this a year ago? And you fought us tooth and nail because you weren't ready to receive it yet. You were still like, because maybe brought you home a little early. And you're like, this is the greatest. Now this sucks. But now you're like, oh no, this is the greatest. And so is this. Because this is a really fun roller coaster. It's all the greatest.
Sorry, I'm just having some other synchronicities come up for me that, again, I know that and I'm sure that this is absolutely true for a lot of people, that I think, like, this was channeled for me. Like, this is the message for me. I was supposed to get this book. I was supposed to read this book. There's a lot of things that are coming up for me in that. But I do want to talk a little bit about that if you can, because we don't want to give away the whole story. Of course, the audience has to read the book. You have to delve in. But okay, so December 6th is a significant date in the book. My birthday is December 6th.
You're kidding me.
No, I am not kidding you.
That's wild.
That was one of the reasons that so 12/6/86. And so I saw that and was like, okay, universe, because I was, again, feeling upset with the universe, feeling that resentment. I was in that consciousness and I was seeing so many things in the book that were I wanted to put it down and I wanted to say, fuck you for putting it in my face, universe. That's where I was at. But I I am someone who loves, like, the astrology, numerology, occult, all those concepts, right? Not because I necessarily set, like, super stock in them, but because I think that they're so fun and it's a puzzle, it's a game. It's enjoyable for me. And so that's part of why I didn't put the book down, was because I was like, I set a lot of stock by my birthday. I use that as synchronicities to guide me in a lot of different ways. So I know for a fact that I am supposed to read this book. I know that this is true. But there's so many other things, like your music references and your movie references. There are like key points in there that are, if the universe could have hit me over the head any harder, I'd probably be in a coma right now. That is 100% what was happening.
It was meant for you at the time. It was meant for you to see it. Like, there's no accidents. There's no coincidences.
It was 100% correct and true. And, you know, I think there's a lot of me in my human element that wants to say to the universe, well, prove it to me. You know, give me some proof. Give me a moment. Give me a revelation. Give me a something. And I was just, okay, here it is. It's right here. It's this book. And I have to, okay. Again, more synchronicities. Your cover is perfect. It's beautiful. And it's supposed to be an image that evokes the energy of Perfectia, of that coming home, right? My name, Haleigh, means field of hay.
Ooh.
And that's what I like the cover of this. I looked at that, like, as I went to, like, I had a moment of shutting the book and looking at it, and that fuck you universe. And I saw that and I'm like, yes, of course. I always make fun of my name as being something so silly and boring. It means field of hay, you know, like, what a boring thing when other people's names mean truth and gift giver and whatever kind of thing. And I'm like, but look, the cover of this book is an homage, is a nod to your name. Read this book. Stop trying to put it down. But
No,
and again, not because I wanted to put it down because the story isn't brilliant. The story is super brilliant, but the things in the story that were so very attached to synchronicities that I know I must have left for myself. Like, you and I are definitely fractals of the same soul consciousness, because it's that, you know, Doctor Who, I am the bad wolf, I create myself element of, like, see all these things that you needed to see to be like, yep, this is for you. Read this.
very much so. And I allowed that to seep in every step of the writing process. So at first it was that process people talk about, automatic writing.
Yeah.
It just happens. Then something very interesting happened. I was in Florida. It
Okay.
was December of 22 now. It was New Year's Eve,
Okay.
22, and I was visiting my in-laws down in Florida. And I hit a wall with the book. And I wasn't going to force anything because I promised myself with this book, not one word would be written that was not inspired from, quote, there.
Right. I get it. I'm
So I
with
reached
you.
out to the team, if you will.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
I was
y'all,
like,
we're supposed to be doing this.
like
I don't
this
hear you.
collaborative here.
Yeah. Where you
Where y'all
at?
going? Like, y'all for the week? I get it. No one's working this week, but still, like, you're
But
not
still,
busy up there. What are you up to? Let's go. And
yeah. What are you busy with? You don't have Zoom meetings to attend.
no, so this was a scene in the book wherein Smooth and Diana were on the road trip and heading to Florida of all places.
Of
And
course.
I was down there and I said, okay, I need you to show me where the story goes from here. Well, that day, New Year's Eve, we end up going to this bar and we meet these two characters whose names were actually Trouble and Tonda.
I knew it. I knew it was them. And Trouble is so one of my favorite people in the book too. I'm just like, man, I need a friend like Trouble.
Amazing dude. He was and they were described in the book exactly as they were in real life.
Oh,
Like to
oh,
a T.
that's true. It's so perfect and wonderful. I must meet them one day.
Absolute
That's so
T.
exciting.
I have no idea how to get a hold of them. We met them that one time,
The
had the
universe
greatest
does.
day.
They'll find a way to. You know what? Universe, Jeff and I would like to bump into Tanda and Trouble at the next Tonger World Championship, please and thank you, and have a wonderful, lovely time. Maybe
They
we'll
were amazing.
competing against each other in the finals or something.
He was this he's larger than life Caribbean guy with this big beard who
Mhm.
has the most gigantic personality you've ever seen. Just the life of the party. The minute he
Yep.
walks into any room, and his wife Tonda's there, and she is it's just like this hardcore. Like she's an attorney. She
Mhm.
rolls her eyes at all of his antics. She's shaking her head. She thinks he's the biggest clown, but you know she's got a big heart underneath that tough exterior.
Well, you know what? Because you gotta have a straight man in the act, right? Like,
He was.
if it goes together, that's how you keep it balanced.
Yep. And that's exactly who they were at the bar. And that's exactly how they manifested in the story. And then from there, I never looked back. From there, I never had one moment where the pen came down.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And it just flowed all the way through the laughter and the tears and everything. And there was a whole lot of both.
There is a whole lot of both, and some of it is really just the energy, 'cause and maybe there's a part of me that is just more sensitive to it now because of where I am in my own, journey, evolution, what have you, but there's a lot to the book that the energy of the story is part of what really gets you because you really do resonate with the part of you that recognizes that this did come from a place that you know very well, even if your human ego mind can't necessarily understand it or articulate it in a way that makes sense to you. There's it's that feeling you get that it's an energetic sensation more than anything.
Exactly. That's how I felt. And the message that I kept getting from the team, if you will,
Mhm.
was tell our story because it will communicate some very deep esoteric truths that will help people remember that right now, in order to get these truths, they usually have to go and watch like a whole Rupert Spira video, and they got to watch Alan
Mhm.
Watts. And they got to get into these concepts that they may not be resonating with because maybe just in a different place that they're at, and they don't
Right.
want to sit through a 2 hour YouTube video on the nature of all that is and this, that, and the other. Tell it
This
through a
is
story they can relate to.
Yes, this is exactly what I feel like my writing is for and is doing that, I will absolutely sit down and watch hours and hours and hours of Alan Watts, Neville
Oh, same.
Goddard.
Absolutely.
I will delve into quantum physics. I will watch Nova documentaries for all day long. Please show me the graphics about, how it is that the moon follows the earth around its gravitational pocket that we're sitting in. I love it. But obviously, not everyone has the time or the bandwidth to, sit down and really delve into that. So put these concepts into a form of entertainment that is easily digestible. Isn't that isn't that so perfect? Your digestion is what was not working, and that's what you came to help everyone else with, to be able to digest these concepts that to the human ego mind is very difficult because we made it so. We wanted it to be a challenge, obviously, because you don't play the video game if it's too easy. But I love that so much, it's just so perfect, and that's absolutely I think that is why we're here, so that we can present these concepts, these ideas in a way that is easily approachable, right? You gotta plant the seed in the consciousness for the evolution to happen.
I think we're ushers at the end of the day and not the ones who are performing at the Super Bowl for people nostalgic about their college bar years in
Right.
2003,
You're
but
right.
like actual ushers. So you talk about this timeline split and
Mhm.
this consciousness split. I think there's a bunch of us that decided to come here right now for the experience of helping usher the people who are like kind of waffling toward that higher vibratory
Right,
place.
but don't necessarily know how to get there or where to start or I really do love that. Like that is part of what I love about writing and putting my stuff out there is the idea that well maybe somebody will hear just one little thing that resonates with them just enough to send them down their own rabbit hole, right? Their own journey of self-discovery and self-remembrance. And I do. I think of it more as like being a lighthouse, right? Like you're here to just send out that beacon, send out that light. And
Yes.
whoever is looking for it is going to find it and come to shore.
That's exactly how I feel. It's not being the light, because what we've seen in the past is that, and in the past, very much in the present as
Right,
well.
right. Very much in the present and
Of
very much it's an option available on the multiverse and we are trying to redirect.
That's what it is. Like, I'm not a fan of beating anybody over the head with anything,
Mm.
any ideas, philosophies, whatever. And I know that that is, particularly in this country, that's not a very popular opinion, but
No, we are very good at the very heavy duality and very much trying to cram down everyone's throats the ones that are, this is the correct concept. This is how we need to act. This is how we need to be.
yeah, I had a vision that came to me recently about this,
Oh,
and I
fun.
call it the pyramid vision.
Okay.
And
Do tell.
just imagine the pyramid, all right? And this is a terrible impression of the pyramid, but this is the pyramid.
We're good.
Yeah, you know what it looks like.
I do.
I'm trying to get
Crystals
the folks
everywhere.
listening to visualize like just a straight, easy pyramid, okay?
Mhm,
Now, think of the very, very, very top of the pyramid as Perfectia, as a source consciousness, total unity, all that is. Now,
mhm.
the further down, now let's say you slide down a little bit on the pyramid, okay? Now, just a little bit. You're still close to the top. Now, there's this little bit of duality that comes in, okay? Now, when you slide down a little bit, you're still close enough to the top where you can feel the warm glow of the source in Perfectia, and you know you're from there, and you know that's your home. And then you can see what's on the other side, eye to eye, and you're still close enough to that to say, oh, yeah, yeah, you're really me and I'm really you. But how cool is it that you're playing you and I'm playing me? But I know that I'm still you and you're still me, and we're both from the top, because you can feel
Right.
the warm glow of the top and you can still see each other because you're close enough. Now, you slide a little further down the pyramid. Now what happens is you're further from the top. You
You're
don't feel the
further.
warm glow. You
It's
start
not
to forget a little bit that's where you're from. And now you're further from them. So they seem a little further from you. You're like, well, I kind of know you're kind of me, but maybe not, because I think you're kind of an asshole, but
right?
you're kind of okay.
No, I
I don't
love
know.
this. It's like I get further
Yes.
from the truth of who I am. You're further from the truth of who you are, and we're further now from each other. So this, that distance, that gap bigger. And again, we chose it. We wanted to do it because there's a value in that adjusted perspective, right? And there's an interest and an entertainment from the true source of who we are in the exploration of this. Let's play these characters.
Oh yeah. All the way down. And now when people complain about, polarization, this, that, and the other, all that really is existing at the very, very bottom of the pyramid on each side. And two things happen when you're at the bottom of the pyramid. So what happens is, the first, you're so far from the top of the pyramid, you have no idea you even came from the top of the pyramid anymore. You can't see it, you
Right.
can't feel it, you can't touch it. Like, you're so disconnected from it. You think the bottom of the pyramid right here is all that is,
Yep.
all that is. And the one who exists at the polar opposite, the other bottom of the pyramid, they're so far away from you, so far away. You think they're a different species entirely, and you have no idea they came from the top of the pyramid just like you did, and you were the same exact thing. And because you're so far out in the cold now, you think, well, this is the only place that exists that makes any sense. The
Right.
ones who are on the other side of the pyramid are insane. And not only the insane, they're not like me. They're evil, they're monsters, they're demons, they're this, they're that.
Right.
They're Republicans and they're libtards and
Oh,
all these, you know what I mean? Like,
the things that made me just drop out of the news, politics, and anything going on in the world entirely, right?
yes,
I can't deal with all this stuff that you just the asleepness, right? And it's valid. Right? We from where we are, we can understand that it is valid that these perspectives all exist, and this is part of the game that we came to play. But you are still that fractalized human, and you are still subject to the consequences of delving into the consciousness that is that duality. So sometimes when you are one of the light bringers, you do need to extract yourself just a bit, right? Because your human self can get drawn into all of the nastiness of that very quickly.
very much so. And so I think we're all in like this pyramidal sliding scale at any given time in our lives. And when we feel a sense of love and empathy and connection, we're higher up the pyramid,
Hmm.
closer to that source consciousness. We're closer to that energy, because not only are we closer, can we now feel that glow of the top a little warmer? We can also see somebody across the pyramid now, and we can touch them if we reach our arms out. If you're at
Mhm.
the bottom of the pyramid and you reach your arms out, you're not going to touch anything except for break on the pyramid.
Right.
But if you're higher up on the pyramid and so are they, you reach your arms out, now you can feel each other. And now
And
you're
the
free.
brilliant thing is that from that space, you understand that that person that you can reach and touch and resonate with is just another fractalized version of that one down at the bottom of the pyramid. They are the same as much as we all are the same and connected, right? And so
Exactly.
you have more empathy, compassion, call it whatever it is. You have more perspective that allows you to understand why they behave the way that they do, and that there is no fault or forgiveness to be placed or given, right? It's all just what
Absolutely.
is.
And that's why also you have the way these pyramids work, they're completely and totally symmetrical. So any
Mhm.
action taken at the bottom of the pyramid here will be reflected as a perfect mirror on the other one, which is why it's always funny to me now. And I say this as a former political extremist in my youth.
Oh, yes, 100%. I was all in on the Republicans are awful, terrible, evil people who don't understand even anything, even though they are exactly the people that I came from in life, right? Black sheep right
Yep.
here, we all had to be for a little bit. But it's, the more that you explore this who am I really and remembering who you really are, the more that you I think sort of appreciate that version of you, because I was that version who went very extreme too and into the atheism. There is nothing when you die. Right? That
Oh, yeah.
that absolute separation in a spiritual sense too of nope, we're all just a mechanical bunch of organs walking around, and you do what you do until you die.
And you feel separate from them. And if you feel separate, your empathy quotient is going to be pretty limited to those on your part of the pyramid.
Yes. Limited all around. And I'm going to say too that your empathy quotient becomes limited for yourself when you are
Oh,
in
yeah.
that space, right? And that is when you get into the space of becoming very ill, because you lose a lot of love for yourself when you lose it for others, right? There is no other way for it to be, right?
Nope, there really isn't. And I think about this now, and I talk to friends of mine who are still very polarized on both sides. And I love keeping them around. People say, you should dump them. No, 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 no. I love them. I love them because they're the perfect mirror and illustration of what I once was. And how could I judge that which I was? How could I possibly do that? Where do I go?
Oh,
Come on.
no, I do. I think that all the time. If you're happy where you are, how can you begrudge the road that got you there?
I can't. And I've been there.
Right?
But I just try to explain to them when they try to kind of rope me back in, which they can't do anymore. And it pisses them off. And that's kind of fun for me. But
It is. It doesn't. It becomes very funny, doesn't it?
it is.
It becomes a silly little game.
So
It.
you got to realize,
I sense that a lot in a lot of these things too.
so my friends, that one thing I want y'all just to realize is that if the worst thing that can happen to you is to get everything you want, because it's what you think you want. It's not what you actually want.
That
Politically,
is that no, but even in life, and that is
even
again
like,
another space that I am in where I have been having that conversation with my inner being. Like, okay, all of these things that I do think that I want as a human, like, dump them in my lap and let me just find out and see, because I have that sneaking suspicion that all of these things that I think I want are somehow not it. But I think I need to have them in order to figure out whatever the next thing is. Like, just
yes.
like dump these things on me and let's see where we go from there and let's see what happens. Right? Like, I understand there's something in it that I have to learn. But I do think that it is also true that that's part of why a lot of us are afraid of success, because we are afraid that, oh, you are going to get all the things you want and find out that that's not actually what it was. And so
Oh
there,
yeah.
right? It's both sides of it. I'm so excited for it. I so much want it. I so much desire it. But then you're also very afraid of it, because there's a part of you that understands once you get there, you're going to have some remembrances and some understandings that are maybe going to be a bit difficult for your ego self to swallow.
Oh yeah. And that's where all the fun really comes in, and you have to start asking yourself some really tough questions there.
Yes, yes, you do. And
We don't want to do that, do we?
no, we don't. We want to laugh and giggle and be very silly and ridiculous, which is what Tonger is. Should we shift gears just a
Let's
little
rock
bit
and
and
roll.
tell
Tell
everyone
me.
about Tongers? Please do explain, because I'm so excited and I so very want to play this game.
So I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about this alternate football league we wanted to start. And of
It all
all,
starts with an alternate football league. Okay.
my friend Matt and I have these great conversations, and we're big sports fans, and we just start. But what I love about it is we're not the X's and O's guys, because that bores both of us. We talk about really high level stuff, what dynasty was dominant here and what fan base is into this. Like, we're very macro guys. So
Okay, I dig it.
it's really fun. So we started thinking, how fun would it be if there was like another professional football league that existed in this country that wasn't like the arena? It wasn't like a gimmick. It was like a real league, but it was in cities that don't have professional sports, like Sioux Falls.
I was going to say, we have an entire state that doesn't have a professional
Yes.
sports
So we
team.
start going through all these cities.
Yes, please do come and start a Tonger. We'll have a tournament here in Sioux Falls. It'll be great.
That is, so Sioux Falls, like one of the first cities we thought, let's have like what if we created a football league and we had it in Sioux Falls and Albuquerque and
shut up that you picked out Sioux Falls of all the places.
Yeah, Sioux Falls, like one of the first cities. Thinking Sioux Falls,
I love it.
El Paso, Des Moines, Boise, Omaha, like all these type of size cities,
Right.
And
pick that. They're big for their area cities.
Yes, Tulsa, like all these kind of cities. And, we're really excited about this. Reno, like, all these kind of places.
Yeah. The ones that are not the first ones on the map.
Yes, but ones where Southwest flies to.
Yes, that is very good. Yes, I like
Southwest cities.
The logic behind this is already more my speed than any other sports anything.
So we're getting really into this, and I'm thinking, how fun would it be to create a podcast where we talk about this league as if it's real? And we talk about these players as if they're really playing, like these washed up NFL players, like who are playing for Sioux Falls against Albuquerque, and it's a championship. So this idea came around, like, this could be fun. And then I said,
have you started that podcast? Because do I ever want to be a part of writing the fake news of that podcast? I am not a sport ball person, but oh my Lord, could I make up some silliness about fake sport ball? 100%.
Well, that's where Tonger.
Can I be so excited? I want to listen. You start the podcast where you guys tell all about the actual fake sports that are happening, the actual fake sports. And I will be like the gossip queen of that. Like, here's the gossip that's happening behind all the sports people. Like, ready to do that. Let's make up all the the hot goss and the ridiculous, scandalous things that are happening in the sports world. I will do that. I'll be the the ET news over here, entertainment kind of thing. Oh, I love it. I'm excited. Let's make this happen already. Also,
we're all in. But one thing held us back. And really kind of held me back from moving forward on that one thing, which was I really just don't want to get sued. And if I start using the names of like old coaches and players that would like surface in these leagues and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If it got big enough, I'm going to be hearing from somebody's lawyer.
Yeah.
I said,
because that is also the world that we live in.
That is the litigious, crazy world we live in. But the idea of this like new sports league that would be big in like Sioux Falls and Albuquerque was still germinating. Like, because I love it conceptually. I love it.
No, I do love this. This is brilliant.
How do I not get sued? I just start a new sport.
I start my own new sport with actual players.
Yes, with like real players and real teams and real everything. And that, my friends, is how Tonger was born.
I love this so very much already.
So what happens is, and I was telling Haleigh earlier, I was in my kitchen and I see tongs. And somehow I just knew that is going to be the foundation of this entire operation. Kitchen tongs.
Because everybody has them. Everybody knows how to play, and that was when you said that, my immediate thought, I'm going to grab a whole bunch of spaghetti with my tongs and fling it at the wall and see how much of it I can get to stick.
And that's basically Tonger, except instead of spaghetti, what we're doing is we're taking like plastic Velcro balls and you're throwing them at a plastic Velcro dartboard and you're getting a running start to do it. But while you're getting the running start, your opposing team can play whatever music they want at whatever volume they want to completely screw you up, throw you off your cadence, fuck with your mind.
You think you're going to do yourself a nice gentle roll up, like do some Tai Chi moves to get you there, and your opposing team is going to start playing some death metal right in the middle of your approach.
As funny you said that, because I just downloaded a Cannibal Corpse song for the Tonger playlist.
Perfect. I love it.
And like, I'm talking like Cannibal Corpse, the theme from Different Strokes.
Oh, I love it.
Nirvana, like, and everything in between.
Anything and everything in between. Go find yourself some really weird, like, Caribbean tropical music. There are I have a new friend who's been telling me about some Brazilian metal that like incorporates Brazilian music and heavy metal music. And I'm like, that's fascinating and very
Love it.
strange and complicated. And it is. Go listen. Just go look up Brazilian metal and treat yourself to something weird.
By the way, it doesn't have to be music. It could be like a speech from Yogananda from 100 years ago. It could be anything you want to play. Anything.
I would play a compilation of very strange sounds made by Roger from American Dad because I
Yes.
resonate with Roger a lot.
One of them is I got the remix of Sweet Brown. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Oh,
Gotta play
yes.
that. So
I
good.
love it. Oh,
So
there's
good.
some you gotta get the, remix somebody did on YouTube of, one of my favorite scenes from Rick and Morty where Morty's telling Summer, "Get your shit together," and this is a song that I play for myself very frequently that is just repetitively saying, "Get your shit together. Get your shit together." I'm like, "Yep, okay, I can do this. Come on."
We're doing it.
I love
And
it.
next week, I'm heading out to Vegas to lock in our dates and our venue for the first annual World Tonger Championships on Saturday, August 31st.
And everyone, please do go find it and sign up once this is out because I can't wait to participate. And if we can turn this into a little bit of cosmic bowling from when I was, 14-year-old in Eureka, South Dakota, please let's turn the black lights on and make everything glow in the dark.
Yes, we already have our logo. Haleigh, I will send you that logo.
Yes.
We are the World Tonger Federation, and of course, our acronym is WTF.
I was just gonna say WTF is so very perfect. I love this already.
Perfectly on brand for what because Tonger is
Yes.
very much a WTF sport.
It's gonna be the next Olympic sport. It's gonna be the biggest thing since curling. I think it is.
It already is. It's already like, there it is, right? It's like, it's already there. Now we're going to pull it out from the field and just show it in our timeline.
That is that just like let that idea crystallize into this nice little physical form that we all think is so very real and solid and unchangeable. And let's just allow it to create itself out of the nothing because that's what we do all day, every day.
That's literally it. So we're reverse engineering the entire thing. We're creating the championships and setting the venue and creating the event and the registration and everything before one official Tonger game has been played anywhere in the world.
I love that. I think that's brilliant. And that is, I think, okay, here's part of why I think it's really wonderful is because it is again, we talked about, not everybody wants to delve into all the books about manifestation and all the Neville Goddard and the secret and all those things. It's dwell in the end, right? Like dwell in what the final result is. But you're doing it in the action world as well as in the imaginary manifestational world. Like just make it what it's supposed to be and let the rest of it, like the universe will fill in the blanks from there. And that is such I just love that there is in our physical realm example of that for people to look at because I think it's very necessary.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about it because it's going to break one of two ways and they're both awesome.
They're both going to be great.
They're both great. Like, so the first way is that this becomes a sensation. And like by putting it out there, it actually, the pieces fall into place and it becomes just a crazy sensation. And what a story on a podcast this will be to tell. Like, and what an experience it'll be.
And then we can write the movie script and we can then make the movie about it.
Absolutely.
Because everybody loves that tagline based on a true story.
Exactly. Oh my God. The Tonger movie will be insane.
It's going to be great. I can't wait for there's going to be a brilliant movie title that's going to come to me at some point and I'm going to text it to you and and then we'll have a nice little cheers and a toast to the Oscar that we have already won for the film.
Absolutely. Or it'll crash and burn spectacularly and that'll be hilarious.
And that's just as good because then you can just keep on keeping on with the podcast about it. And
absolutely.
I think, and I love this idea that you need to also, you know what? Here's what you could do because reality isn't real anyway. So who cares if it's made up or not? Just go ahead and start a podcast where you've talked about last year's annual championship.
Yes, I was just thinking of that.
And just make up all the people. I would absolutely love to help you make up all the players and the characters and like the really huge upset that it was that China lost. We all expected they were the ones that we thought were going to be the guaranteed winner. Whoever would have thought that Yugoslavia would come right up from behind for the win?
It literally saved the skin of the regime in Uzbekistan. by having a Tonger tournament.
It literally did. And the universe could not have planned it any more magnificently.
It was like Rome's bread and circuses, but like for their dictator. And it was the best thing ever.
It was the best thing ever.
Like 80% inflation, but they had like, he just hosted like a Tonger tournament and he made like gold plated Tongers. And like, and it became a whole thing.
This is the perfect time-space reality in which to create the fakeness of this, because AI imagery that you can make exists, and you can create these characters and have like pictures of them that you can edit into the podcast. You can like pop up their faces up here, and I'm so excited. How are we going to make this happen, and how do I get to be a part of it? I have no idea, universe, but I am here for it.
I know how, because everybody's listening. You're listening to history right now because it's starting right here, right now in the present. Haleigh and I are going to co-host this podcast.
Yes, we are. I'm so excited. We got to do it. Let me tell you what, you're not going to be the first person that I ever just roped into starting a podcast for me. Hi, hello, Frankie's Podcast Network. Yes, I like to have 5 podcasts going at once that I DIY, produce, edit, post, run while I work full time, because I don't have a speed slower than full speed ahead.
Same.
Oh my God, I'm so excited though. Let's do this. I will so play around with AI. I'm all in already. Let's do this.
So we obviously like the first team is going to be in Sioux Falls. Like the first ever Tonger team and the first ever official Tonger game is going to be in Sioux Falls. It has to be,
because why else am I here? Why else did I plant myself in South Dakota so I could bitch about the snow?
Like, it has to happen in the wintertime.
Well, I mean, listen, we're supposed to, like, next week we're going to have a nice little heat wave. And then as always happens in South Dakota, I imagine a blizzard will follow.
Fall, spring.
Yeah, we like to do that a lot around here. That groundhog can just
get like 3 of them, though, like 3 fall springs out there. Like 4.
We've already had, like, global warming is increasing that number, and it's like very bipolar and insane, which, you know, I say that, but it's like, oh, hey, look at that. Mother Nature just following along with my neurospiciness. We want to be hot today and blizzarding tomorrow. All right, that's how we're going to do. I love this. We need to set up a Tonger game in Sioux Falls. I'm already going to figure this out. Universe, let's do it.
Oh, I already know how. I'm going to send you a Tonger set with the LED lighting up board and like all the plastic balls, and like all you need is the tong, which you got, and like there you go, and there it is.
I am so excited for
literally
this
all
already.
you need.
This is we're gonna do this. It's gonna be brilliant. It's gonna be amazing, and it'll be such a fun little thing. Sorry, no. See, now my brain is gonna be going a million miles a minute. I'm not gonna be able to help myself. We're gonna have to talk offline about this for reals. But time isn't actually real either, and we can incorporate that concept into this too. We can be simultaneously running a podcast about last year's annual event while also talking all about the first ever team in Sioux Falls that just played their first game.
I love
Time isn't real. We can put that quantum stuff and just smush it right together, and it doesn't have to make sense, because it'll make sense to everybody in ways that they don't understand. And oh, what a beautiful way to plant the seed in everyone's consciousness that time isn't real. I love this.
It's not real, because when you think about how the future impacts the present, which impacts the past, time's arrow goes both ways.
It does. And even quantum physics will tell you all of the equations work in both directions. Why do we not experience it that way? Because we collectively agree not to.
Absolutely.
We could get on the train that says we collectively agree that continuity in time is no longer required, and we could live this waking life just as much like a dream state, or what we call a dream state, and just let things pop and happen and be at different moments. And it doesn't really, we don't need it to be linear to make sense anymore.
It doesn't have to be. Why?
It doesn't have to be.
Was like the crazy stuff I went through with my health in 2022 the best thing that ever happened to me, because the me of the present said it is the best thing that ever happened to me.
Okay, I love this so much. And
the past.
Okay, no, but you do, because that's how it works. And this is one of the things that I get really excited about as a visual that I know sometimes when I talk about makes some people, again, think that I belong in a padded cell and want to run away from me screaming, which I understand. That's fine.
I respect that.
Right? But like, if we are the light, right, everything that we are experiencing really and truly is just this 3D holographic light show. And how do you get, who is the light of the projector that flashes through the film to make it happen? It's you. So think of your reality as like a holodeck of possibilities that's all around you. That little slide that you choose, right, in this now moment that says that horrible thing was the best thing that ever happened to me. Well, if that's the slide you've chosen, your consciousness knows, okay, that storyline has a whole other past that goes with it. And now you remember it that way because that's what you have to match up with it. And here's this future that you're heading to that you created. And if you switch that slide, you're going to switch because it's all a storyline that all goes together. All of the memories that you require and the perspectives that are required are going to go with it. So when you shift to that new one, of course your past changes because that's the past that goes along with this storyline. These are all these infinite possibilities of timelines and storylines. You hop onto a new one. You have to have a whole other perspective and whole new memories of the past because that's what goes with that future that you're going to.
Yeah, it is linear from that sense. It's like string theory. It's the string. It's a straight line and it connects. But you can change the string and you can change the story.
You can jump the level.
Shifting constantly between different dimensions. Mm-hmm. We think like we chose this dimension to live in. We're changing dimensions constantly.
Well, that's the thing. It's like we're quantum multidimensional beings. We exist in all of the dimensions. We just like, this is the part of our consciousness that we're focused in. And our brain was made to like limit us to here so that this is what we see and understand and experience. Now we are to a point where we can start extrapolating out and experiencing more of it all at one time. And how very exciting and fun is that? It's
awesome. Can I do a call out right now?
Yes.
Okay. This has been bugging me. So I think this is something for all of you listening who have a proclivity to listen to spiritual podcasts and such. Mm-hmm. There's one out there, Next Level Soul, yes. Alex Ferrari.
Yes. And I listened to that one as well and enjoy it. And oh Lord, if I could get him on the podcast, what a fun time.
I will say this. I used to love it.
I
used to love it.
No, I know where you're at with that. I really do. Please continue. Please. Let's have this conversation.
I think we need to, because we're talking about this idea of like infinite potentiality over here. Mm-hmm. And this is something that Mr. Ferrari and his guests would pay very good lip service to, until something happened over in the last couple of months or so, where now every single thumbnail for every single video is basically watching CNN of, you can't stop this. This is happening. Just the most fear-mongering like, what the hell is happening here?
I am so with you. Now, listen, I love that he brings on people who are channelers, people who are like getting this information. I love that they are having these conversations like we're having right now about the multiverse and then the truths and things. But I am absolutely also so annoyed and irritated that we are turning it into, how do we monetize this even further? Let's YouTube algorithm. We have to make this. You must see this. You can't miss it. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's turn the volume down on Take It So Seriously, because
prepare yourself now. Like, what is this?
I know. Like,
what are you doing, dude? Full stop.
It is the high ticket sales thing of it's the life coaching and the stuff that drives me nuts, that like keeps coming up, and I keep telling the universe, I know that that's not what it is for me. I understand that people are selling like $1,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 whatever for an 8-week class where you sit in a Zoom meeting with me and I tell you all, no, that's not what I'm trying to do. That's classroom shit, and I want to have fun. Like, where is the fun, universe? Like, I'm not trying to. There's no fun there. There's no fun in the CNN element of let's turn this into like doom and gloom unless you're paying attention kind of thing.
Yeah.
No, I want to see a Tonger turn. I want to see. I'm so excited for what we're going to create here, because I am 100% on board with exactly what you're saying. I love that there are so many people out there now who are willing to go on a big podcast like that, and so many people who are interested in the subject matter and in people who are channelers and in all of these realms that have up until this point been too weird, too woo-woo, and too whatever to be a big thing in the realms that are for the powers that be or what have you to take seriously. But now we're taking it too seriously.
We are. And this is the part that's, it's kind of getting my goat, if you will, is that what the channelers, all they're doing.
Hot damn. Do we not need to put the goat in the backyard somewhere where nobody can get to it?
I shouldn't be talking about goats. I grew up in Queens, New York. What am I, goats? It's goats. Come on. A goat stew from Kashmir. Now that's the stuff.
You're talking about goats because it is another synchronicity for me. I have a whole very big dream that I had about 9 black goats. We'll get into that later.
I like that idea. I like that idea on the first ever Tonger podcast. Talk about the 9 black goats. Oh, should that be the name of the Sioux Falls team?
That is the name of the Sioux Falls team.
The Black Goats.
Oh, I just remembered the 9. Yes. Oh my goodness. And they have a team of 9 is what it is. The 9 Black Goats. Oh, yes.
Great merch. The Black Goats with like a black goat holding a tong.
Oh my God, I love this already because you can pull in a little bit of that satanic element that I know is going to so very upset the conservative religious people in the state that I grew up in. And I think it would be brilliant.
It'll go over like a fart in church in the Great Plains. It'll be beautiful.
Yes, it will. Let me hardcore. Let me really lean into that black sheep energy and make it the 9 Black Goats. I love this so much. This is so very fun.
How we do it. Now, this is the fun part about it. We're illustrating because one thing about a lot of these channelers is that this idea of they're channeling something that is absolutely going to happen and we can't stop it. Blah, I'm tossing that out with yesterday's trash. And this is the thing that, first of all, we live in a multiverse of infinite potentiality. The idea of any channeled message saying this is absolutely what's going to happen and it can't be stopped. First of all, that's incompatible with the idea, not even the idea, but the reality of our existence.
Right.
There's a constantly fluid existence of sentient beings who are constantly putting things into motion.
I love both parts of this though, right? Like everything can always change. Absolutely. Always. It's always going to. That's the one thing that you can't avoid. Right. But isn't it such a fun thing that we as humans created that this is absolute, like the absolute, right? Like it's that limitation thing. It's putting that little, it is a gift from the universe. There is no meaning to it unless you assign the meaning to it. And if you assign that it's a doomsday clock that's going to come, then that's the reality that you get to experience. And it's absolutely valid for you to choose that.
Right.
But I do absolutely also find it annoying because anything and everything is possible in the multiverse. And tomorrow, I could be a millionaire all of a sudden for no reason and be like buying merch and setting up all my jerseys for the 9 Black Goats for the Tonger tournament. I'm so excited about this. Anything is possible. Anything can happen and anything can change at any moment. And you can select a different ending if it's the ending that you would prefer to experience.
We're breathing it into life. And I'm determined this year, with the help of my great friend here, to bring the Tonger world into life. And it's a world that, and the best way I could describe it, you think back to the pyramid. Tonger does not exist in the bottom of the pyramid because it can't. Because if you're at the bottom of the pyramid, you take yourself seriously by necessity.
And you can't experience or interact with the resonance of Tonger, which is like, no, we don't do this serious. We're going to be as outrageous, as silly, and as ridiculous as humanly possible.
Yes,
because we have what?
Tonger is no lines between you, me, this or that. Tonger is all and it is one.
It's an all-encompassing. I love this so much. I am so absolutely excited. We do need to. This is happening. We are starting the Tonger podcast.
We are. It's happening.
It has happened. And I'm so excited for our inaugural episode. You have had so many wonderful views and such great feedback. And we already have a massive following of Tonger fans, and we must create more content for them because they're thirsty for it.
They are thirsty for it.
They are.
For all kinds of stuff.
I love it so much.
It's awesome.
I'm so ready to do all of these things because this is exactly, I feel, again, the universe does not make any mistakes. The cover of your book is a field of hay, and your big date in the book is my birthday.
Now, without giving anything away, the town in question in the book where that field takes place, I was actually there last year. I made a pilgrimage there.
You made it. We're going to have to talk about that offline. I'm going to need to know more about this.
Yes, and it is a wild, wild, wild story that go along with a couple other wild stories that bled from the book into my, quote, real life. That were
right,
like billion to one odds of things happening that were.
Oh, but the universe is so very good at those billion to one odds.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
And isn't it kind of funny? Our human brains think it's billion to one odds, and from the perspective of all that is, it's like, well, no, that's how it was always going to go.
How we do it.
Like that's so easy peasy for us to put that together.
Like you are a billion to one odd. Like, so what are you running around talking about billion to one odds?
Yeah.
Like the things that had to happen for you to be.
The way that the dominoes had to fall. And I really do love, that is one of my favorite things is when you get to see the dominoes falling in real time and recognize it. Like there's the hindsight is 20/20 thing. is not nearly as fun as being in the moment and watching it unfold in real time. It's so much more magical.
The best.
I love it. I love it. Okay, listen, you and I need to have some more conversations offline because this is really super exciting. I
Yes.
want to thank you so much for joining me for a completely unplanned Frankie 411 podcast. Geoff Woliner, please tell everyone where to find you and all your stuff.
All right. Well, just check it out on Amazon, The Path to Perfectia. So it's perfect with an IA at the end, The Path to Perfectia.
And I'm absolutely going to link all of your stuff in the description below. I'll make sure that everybody checks those out. Click those links, get this book and read it so you can understand what made me laugh, cry, scream at the universe, and jump for joy all at one time. It's a magnificent experience you do not want to miss.
Awesome. And then I would say by the middle of March, our site is going to be live for tonger.org. Check us out then. You'll have all your Tonger related information, which will also be housed on the official website of the Daily Stuffing, which is going to be a different kind of satire for a different kind of world. And it is, best way I can describe it, it is satire that goes up the pyramid, that has no us versus them. It just embraces the crazy of all.
I love that. That's 100% the thing that I'm looking to do because I got all kind of crazy right in here that I have been embracing and that I am ready to put it in a place where it belongs. I'm so excited for the Daily Stuffing to launch. Thank you, thank you, thank you, friend. I am so glad that you were just happened to be available for this wonderful little thing to happen. I can't wait to see where we go from here.
You're the best.
Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Hi again, friend. Frankie here. Thanks for joining us today to get the 411. You can get more details on today's guests by checking out the links in the description. And if you'd like to support more episodes of the Frankie 411 podcast, you can become a patron at patreon.com/FrankieWasHere and find all of my other social media links down below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a review, do all those things that you wonderful listeners can do. Until next time, much love to you, my earthbound and cosmic friends. Wherever you are out there, I hope you're doing well.